Hi everyone, in this video I want to share some tips with you on how to email the professor for a fully funded scholarship, either for master's or a PhD, to actually find out if they actually have a position available in the lab, because this is the sure way to secure a fully funded scholarship. Because a lot of the scholarships, you really don't get to apply for them. You reach out to professor, and if they have any funding available and they accept you, your admission letter will come with a fully funded scholarship. You don't even have to apply for that separately. I'm actually in the lab now. I'm just going to show you guys around. So I'm actually doing some work in the lab now. So this is actually my workstation, and then there are some other things that we do. You can see all of the lab background. So I think I've learned some things in a way that I would just want to share with you. So make sure you watch this video till the very end, so that at the end you learn how to send emails to professors for either master's or PhD position in any country of your choice. So I'm actually with my computer so that I can make sure I have all the tips. I make sure I don't want to miss anything. One of the things you really want to think about is which area do you want to go into. If you have your bachelor's degree in a particular area, for masters you don't necessarily have to email professors based on your experience in terms of the research project you did in undergrad. For me, my undergrad was done in some beta carotene type of vitamin A analysis, but my masters I did a whole lot of obesity research, so I didn't have to start looking for beta carotene or vitamin A analysis or research work for my masters. And I didn't even have any publication, so don't think that if you don't have publication it's a disadvantage. For masters, if you have, it's good, but if you don't have, you can definitely still make it work. So once you decide that, okay, now I'm ready to start emailing supervisors, my recommendation would be have at least 20 to 50 professors that you want to message. Some people tell me, oh, I've written to 3 to 4 professors and I haven't gotten a response. Come on, these professors have thousands of emails every month, and so don't think just sending 3-4 emails, that's it. I've seen people that have sent 50, 100 emails. For me, I think probably send more than 50 emails. Don't get me wrong, there are people that send 3 to 4 emails and they get response. Good for you, but most of the time you have to send multiple emails. So my first recommendation is, if you decide on what you want to do, I would say make sure you don't make your research interest too narrow, such that you only have like 3 or 4 professors in the whole of Canada and the whole of US to message. Make it a little bit bright while focusing on exactly what you want to do, and then have at least 150, 20, a lot of professors that when you send email to one and that doesn't respond, you just keep going, right? So let me share some few things with you. Once you've searched at all of those 10 or 20 professors, 30 professors, just start with 5. Okay, so one of the first things I would encourage you to do is to actually research the professor's area of interest. Make sure you know exactly what the professor they are doing or what they are currently working on. This will really help you to determine if the professor's research aligns with either your experience or your own research interest and goal. Just imagine I've been doing work on obesity and cancer for my master's, and now for my PhD I want to go for somebody that is doing computer science and artificial intelligence, right? It doesn't just match, and it must not match with your research experience. It can match with some of the courses that you did, right? So for me, what I actually did was, when I was emailing my professor for my master's, I mentioned, well, I did some course in lipid biochemistry which really aligns with what you're doing, and that was like a selling point for me, right? So make sure you research thoroughly, and sometimes you might not know what the professor is doing currently. One of the things you can always do is to use a search, use PubMed. So just put in the professor's name. If you can get one of their paper, just click on their name and go to PubMed, and then on PubMed is like a search database. Just put on the most recent, and when you go there, make sure it is the name where it is one of the paper, either the professor's name is at the first or at the last, or where they are the corresponding author, because some of these professors do collaborative work, so you don't want to message them on a project that is just like a collaborative or side project, right? It has to be what they are currently doing, and it has to be paper published in a relaxed, let's say 1 year, 2 years, that's it. Now, if you are planning to reach out to professors, if your department don't require you to get supervised, I mean, there are some programs like that, they'll just tell you apply. When you apply, you don't need to get supervised before you apply. When you apply, we're going to look at all your credentials and everything, and then once you get admission, we're not going to give you supervisor maybe in your first year, in your first semester or second semester. Then the department is the one that offers full funding. So if that's the case, you don't need to worry about getting a supervisor, but this is for those that want to get supervisor. Now the next thing, once you've seen all of the professors' research and you thought, oh, this professor's research actually aligns with me, find out about their contact information. Usually their email is going to be on their website, and it's going to be like a university email, so that is good. If you want to check them out on LinkedIn, or mostly just type their name on Google and see if they appear in the news somewhere. That can be a selling point, right? If they were interviewed recently, you can also start from the, oh, I watched your recent interview, and it was quite amazing, and then I'm contacting you for this. So once you are ready to start sending emails, once you've gotten the contact and you have the list of your, I usually recommend people have a note where you have a list of all the professors and the school that you want to mention, you want to message or email. Now, I usually recommend don't send email to the same professor in the same different professors in the same school at the same time, because sometimes they can talk within among themselves. So just send one email, and if you don't get a response from that particular professor after 2-3 days, then you can send email to another professor in the same school. But if it is different school, you can send hundreds of emails at a time. Now, the first thing you want to do is to actually introduce yourself and your research interest. So in that email, be sure to introduce yourself, your research interest, let them know why you're interested in working with them, and then talk about some of the things you wish to achieve in your master's or your PhD. And this is actually the point where you can also introduce your background. My name is Peter Cicely. I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry with a CGPA of this out of, you can put a percentage to it, and I'm interested to interested to apply for a PhD position. And I was wondering if you are currently accepting students for masters, that should be the first paragraph. And in the second paragraph, that is when you kind of align or talk about your research interest. My interest is this type of analysis. I'm interested in cancer research. I'm interested in this because I have background in this. I've done some courses in my undergrad that align with this research. I have a publication that also align with what you're doing. That's it. That's another point to mention. Another thing you can also mention, maybe probably in the third paragraph as the case may be, is to talk about, you can even put this at the second paragraph if you want, talk about what is the professor doing. I've read about your research interest, and I see that you're currently working on nutritional intervention in cancer patients, and I read your recent publication titled using fish oil to improve muscle mass in cancer. I'm just giving an example. It can be anything, and you can say in that paper it was interesting to see that fish oil is able to reduce fat infiltration in the muscle, right? And you can say, however, it's interesting to see if the fish oil also prevents fat infiltration into other tissues. I'll be interested to explore that. So it tells the professor that you are actually started thinking ahead of what you really want to do when you start the program. And then also talk about your long-term goals. My goal is to start a master's degree now, and then proceed for a PhD. If you are emailing for a PhD, say I want to go for a postdoctoral fellowship. I know for these professors they like it when you say you want to go into this academia, research kind of a thing. So put that at the forefront. Don't just say I want to go into the industry. That is good, but some professors are very keen on training people to become like them. They will usually like it when you say you're going for a research program. And then once you send that email, there are a couple of things that you can also attach, and before that, make sure you keep your message concise. Okay, don't write all these lengthy emails that usually take a lot of time for the professors to go through. It should be brief, focused to the point, but it shouldn't be too brief so that the professor wouldn't think that it's a copycat image that email that is sent to everybody. It has to be tailored specifically to the professor's research. Don't just send a generalized email. It's a very bad way of contacting the professor. Send an email that is very targeted to them. That way they say, oh, this person have taken the time and the thought to look through all of the the research that I'm doing, and they really understand, because these professors get lots of images, so or lots of messages. So if yours does not stand out, you don't even get selected for an interview. And another thing you want to do in terms of the introduction is to use a professional subject line, something like inquiry about potential masters or PhD position in your research group. So if there's masters, you say inquiry about potential master's position in your research group. If it's PhD, inquiry about potential PhD positions in your research group. And then use a professional greeting, right? So these professors, they don't really like you to use dear sir or dear ma. I've seen a lot of people from Africa, because that's what we're used to, say, oh, dear sir, dear ma. No, just use dear doctor, use their last name. Okay, for example, if I become a professor tomorrow, you can say dear Dr. Excellent, right? It don't be about to say dear Dr. Peter, just say dear Dr. Excellent. But I'm not yet a prof as at the time this video is being recorded, so don't email me for a position. So subject line, and they have already talked about including relevant background. And then another thing is also attach some relevant documents. If you have CV, or most likely resume, CV is going to be better, because it's going to be an academic thing you're doing, because it gives you an opportunity to talk about your educational background, if you have any work experience, any skill that you have, any professional body that you belong to. There are specific techniques that if you have any paper publication, if you have voluntary position. So they like all of those things, because in grad school you're not just going to be focused on doing research work only, you're going to be doing some extra or curricular activities. So they want to be sure that you are able to do those things. So include a copy of your CV, and it should be in a PDF form. And then if you have a transcript as well, also include your certificate. So your one page your certificate, that is also fine. If you don't have certificate, just include a transcript, that's fine. And another thing you can also do is you can follow back if you don't hear back from them. Just kind of send a reminder email that, oh, I sent an email not long ago, I just want to find out if you're currently accepting students. I just say I sent an email long ago, I just want to inquire if you got my email. It's fine to follow up, right? It's fine to follow up probably after a week or two. It's good to follow up, and then remain professional, respectful, right? In your communication with the professors, try to make sure that you remain polite and respectful. Make sure your grammatical construction is really nice. Make sure you read it over and over again, because they consider writing as an important part in grad school. So make sure that your spellings are well checked. So what are some of the reasons why professors don't reply to emails? Number one thing, they are very busy, right? They have a lot of responsibility, including teaching, writing grants, serving on committees. So if they don't respond to you, means that it can mean that they are busy. Another reason why they don't respond, it can mean that they are not currently accepting new students. So either they don't have fully funded, or they are on sabbatical, they might also not respond to you. Another reason is if they are not interested in your own research, or your interest doesn't match with your own background, then they may not respond to you, because they don't want to waste their time. And if your email is not written professionally or clearly written, then they might also not respond, because this person doesn't have good writing skills. So how is it going to survive, or how is she going to survive in master's or PhD? And another thing, it can even be that professor did not receive the email. It might be that it actually entered their spam folder, or some other technical issues caused them not to receive the email. So if you don't hear back from the professor after making those initial contacts, it's usually recommended to follow up, to kind of inquire from them if they got the email after about 1 week or 2. But once you do that once and you don't hear from them, I would say it is time to move on to the next professor. So those are the tips I have for you today. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I just wish you all the best, and then subscribe to my channel if you haven't, so that whenever new videos are released, you'll be the first person to get notified. So I'll see you in the next video.